Leo tightened his grip on the controls of his small exploration ship as it descended through Zorth's thick, green atmosphere. The planet was alive with color, forests stretched across the horizon, rivers sparkled under the pale sun, and mountains jutted sharply into the sky. From orbit, it had seemed beautiful, almost peaceful. But every explorer knew better. Zorth was dangerous. Stories told by other humans spoke of predators with speed and intelligence beyond imagination. And worse, there were whispers about the ravenous alien females tribe, a group that had earned fear across the galaxy. They were said to be hunters, not only of animals but of anyone foolish enough to cross their path. The warnings were so strong that most human explorers avoided the planet entirely. Leo, however, felt a thrill of excitement rather than fear. Unlike other humans, he had always believed that understanding a species was stronger than running from it. He adjusted the ship's navigation panel and checked the fuel levels. Everything was ready. His plan was simple: land, explore, document, and, most importantly, observe the tribe from a safe distance. The landing was rough. Turbulence shook the ship as it passed through the lower atmosphere. Leo's knuckles whitened on the controls. Below, jagged cliffs and thick forests rushed closer. Finally, with a jolt and a cloud of dust, the ship touched down in a clearing surrounded by towering trees. The engines hummed softly as Leo exhaled, feeling the strange gravity of Zorth pull at his body. He stepped out of the ship, taking a deep breath of the alien air. It smelled sharp, almost metallic, but not unpleasant. Birds, if they could be called that, crashed from the trees in startled flocks. Strange plants swayed in the wind, their leaves glittering with dew-like drops. Every sound and movement made him feel alive. Yet, in the back of his mind, the stories of the tribe reminded him to stay alert. Leo unpacked his small survival kit, laying out sensors, cameras, and motion trackers. "Let's see what secrets you hide," he muttered to himself, adjusting the strap of his pack. He knew the tribe was rumored to be everywhere, hiding in the shadows, watching without being seen. Hours passed as Leo ventured into the forest. He moved carefully, stepping over roots and under low branches. Birds and strange creatures rustled in the undergrowth. Every sound made his heart beat faster, but he didn't stop. He set up small cameras and sensors, marking the path for his return. By late afternoon, the forest opened into a wide valley. There, for the first time, he saw signs of the tribe. Footprints, large and clawed, were pressed into the soft soil. Broken branches hinted at their passage. Leo crouched low, studying the tracks. He realized that the creatures were fast, intelligent, and organized. The stories were not exaggeration. But neither were they the mindless monsters humans made them out to be. Suddenly, movement caught his eye. At the edge of the trees, he glimpsed a figure, tall, agile, and covered in patterned skin that blended perfectly with the surroundings. It watched him for a long moment, then vanished silently into the shadows. Leo froze. His heart raced, but he stayed calm. He reminded himself, observe, do not provoke. The sun began to sink behind the mountains, casting long shadows across the valley. Leo set up a temporary camp near a stream, careful not to make noise. He started a small fire for warmth and to cook the rations he carried. From his position, he could see the valley and the edge of the forest, hoping for another glimpse of the tribe without being noticed. As night fell, the forest came alive with sounds he had never heard before. Strange calls echoed through the trees, and glowing eyes watched from the darkness. Leo felt a mixture of fear and fascination. He realized that he was alone on a world that few humans had dared to explore, and he was now closer than anyone to discovering the truth about the ravenous alien females tribe. Yet, despite the tension, he felt ready. His training, his knowledge, and his courage gave him confidence. He knew that fear often clouded judgment, and that understanding required patience. The humans who feared the tribe would never see what he was about to learn. Under the alien sky, Leo sat by his small fire, listening to the distant sounds of the forest. Somewhere out there, the tribe moved silently, watching, waiting, and surviving. And somewhere in himself, Leo felt the spark of a challenge, one that could change the way humans saw Zorth forever. For the first time, he smiled. Tomorrow, he would take his first real step into the heart of the unknown. The morning light filtered through the dense canopy of Zorth's forest, painting the ground with golden streaks. Leo awoke early, stretching and checking his equipment. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of wet earth and strange flowers. He had slept lightly, ears alert to every rustle and whisper of movement. Packing up his temporary camp, he carefully secured the sensors and cameras he had set up the night before. Today, he planned to venture deeper into the forest, toward the valley where he had seen the first signs of the tribe. Every step was cautious, every sound measured. Leo knew the tribe was near, and he wanted to observe them without causing alarm. As he moved quietly through the undergrowth, Leo noticed the forest seemed almost alive, reacting to his presence. Leaves trembled, small creatures scuttled away, and shadows shifted as if watching him. Then, in a small clearing ahead, he saw a figure moving with astonishing speed. It was a female of the tribe, tall and muscular, with skin patterned in shades of green and brown that blended perfectly with the forest. Her eyes were sharp, intelligent, and alert. She crouched low, hunting a small animal with skillful precision. Her movements were fluid, almost like water flowing over rocks. Leo froze, fascinated. The creature was nothing like the terrifying monster described by human rumors. She was focused, calculating, and completely in control of her environment. Slowly, he raised his camera and began taking silent pictures, careful not to startle her. The alien noticed him almost immediately. Her eyes locked onto his, sharp and assessing. Leo did not move. He knew any sudden action could be dangerous. For a long, tense moment, they simply stared at each other, human and alien, each trying to understand the other. Then, with a soft, almost imperceptible nod, she turned and vanished into the trees. Leo exhaled slowly, his heart racing. He realized that this was the moment he had come for, the first real encounter with the ravenous alien female's tribe. But instead of fear, he felt curiosity and respect. The stories had painted them as mindless predators, yet here was proof that they were intelligent and deliberate. Determined to follow at a safe distance, Leo moved carefully along the path she had taken. He used his motion sensors to track subtle vibrations in the ground, making sure he did not get too close. The forest seemed quieter now, as if it had paused to watch the human intruder. Hours passed as he followed her movements. He observed how she hunted, how she moved silently between trees, and how she communicated with small, subtle signals that Leo could barely understand. It became clear that the tribe was not chaotic but highly organized. Each female had a role, and their coordination was precise. At one point, Leo witnessed a surprising moment. A young female had become trapped in a snare set by natural predators. The older female, the one he had first seen, approached cautiously. She used her hands to carefully release the trap, freeing the younger one. It was a simple act, but it revealed something profound: the tribe cared for each other. They were not mindless hunters, they were a community, capable of intelligence, empathy, and teaching. Leo documented everything silently, his respect for the tribe growing with each passing moment. He realized that humans had misunderstood them completely. Fear had painted monsters where there were only beings surviving in a harsh environment. By late afternoon, Leo decided to return to his camp. He had learned more in a single day than he had from months of research on Zorth. As he walked back, he noticed subtle signs that the tribe had been aware of his presence all along. Broken branches, displaced leaves, and faint tracks suggested they were watching him from a distance, curious but cautious. At camp, Leo carefully uploaded his data to his portable drive. The images and sensor readings showed a pattern of intelligence and survival skills that no human had ever documented. He smiled, realizing that he was seeing the truth behind the legends. The tribe was not something to fear blindly. They were something to understand, and perhaps even respect. As night fell, Leo sat by his small fire, reflecting on the day. He felt a deep sense of excitement mixed with humility. He had encountered beings that were stronger, faster, and more intelligent than most humans imagined. And yet, he also knew that this was only the beginning. Tomorrow, he would have to decide how to interact more closely without breaking the trust he had begun to build. He gazed at the dark forest, listening to the sounds of Zorth at night. Somewhere beyond the trees, the tribe moved silently, aware of his presence. And somewhere within himself, Leo felt the first spark of connection, a fragile understanding forming between human and alien, curiosity replacing fear. For the first time, he truly believed that Zorth held more than danger. It held knowledge, challenge, and the possibility of something remarkable. The ravenous alien females tribe was not just a legend to be feared. They were a species to be studied, respected, and perhaps, one day, befriended. And Leo, the human who dared to face the unknown, was ready to take the next step. The next morning, Leo awoke to the soft sounds of Zorth's forest. Birds or creatures that resembled birds chirped and fluttered above, and the leaves rustled gently in the breeze. Today, he felt a sense of purpose. Yesterday's encounter had given him hope. He had seen the tribe's intelligence, their agility, and their careful coordination. But he also knew that one wrong move could turn observation into danger. He packed his gear quietly, careful not to disturb the forest more than necessary. His plan was simple: follow the trail of the tribe again, but stay farther back and continue gathering information. As he moved, he noticed small signs that the aliens had been near during the night: broken branches, footprints, and even faint scratches on the bark of trees. They were watching, curious and cautious, just as he was. After a few hours of careful tracking, Leo spotted movement near a clearing. A young female of the tribe had become trapped in a net that was part of an old predator's snare. She struggled but could not free herself. Her eyes met Leo's from a distance, wide and filled with a mixture of fear and determination. Leo froze. He knew that approaching too quickly could be dangerous, but leaving her there was not an option. Slowly, he crept forward, speaking softly to calm himself and, perhaps, to show that he meant no harm. He knelt beside the trap and carefully began loosening the ropes. The young alien froze at first, tense and unsure, but she did not attack. She watched, studying him with sharp intelligence. It took some time, but finally, the net loosened enough for her to pull herself free. She stumbled slightly, then regained her balance. Leo stepped back, giving her space. The young female observed him for a long moment, then turned and darted back into the forest. Leo exhaled slowly, relieved that nothing had gone wrong. From the trees, Leo could see other members of the tribe approaching. They moved silently, alert but not aggressive. The older female from his previous encounter emerged first, watching him closely. Their eyes locked. Leo lowered himself to the ground, hands visible, showing that he carried no weapon. For a long moment, there was silence. The tribe circled around the clearing, studying him, and Leo remained calm, understanding that fear could only make things worse. He extended a small ration pack toward the ground, not food for them, but a gesture. The older female hesitated, then stepped closer, sniffing the air, curious but cautious. Leo realized something important: the tribe was not mindless. They were assessing him, understanding his intentions. And they were intelligent enough to recognize that he had helped one of their own. Small actions could build trust, and trust was the key to survival on Zorth. He spoke softly, his voice low and calm. He did not know if they understood, but the tone mattered. "I mean no harm," he said, repeating it slowly. "I only want to observe, to learn." The older female's gaze lingered on him. Slowly, she stepped back and signaled subtly with a movement of her hand. The younger female, who had been freed, returned and stayed close to her. The tribe then vanished as silently as they had arrived, leaving Leo alone in the clearing. Leo smiled, a mixture of relief and excitement flooding him. He realized that today's encounter had been more than survival, it had been the beginning of communication. His actions had shown that humans were not always a threat. Courage, patience, and understanding could replace fear with curiosity. He returned to his temporary camp later in the day, careful to leave no trace of his presence beyond small, harmless markers. He reviewed the data he had collected, images, sensor readings, and notes on behavior. Everything confirmed what he had seen: the tribe was intelligent, cooperative, and capable of empathy. Humans had feared them because they did not understand them. Sitting by his small fire that night, Leo reflected on what had happened. The forest was alive with sound, and the tribe was somewhere out there, observing him as he observed them. The realization filled him with awe. Fear could blind humans, but understanding required patience and courage. Leo felt proud of the decision he had made to help the young female. It had been risky, but it had also opened a door. He looked up at the stars through the canopy. Zorath was no longer just a dangerous world, it was a place of discovery. The ravenous alien female's tribe was not a simple threat, they were a species to learn from, to respect, and maybe, someday, to work with. As sleep began to take him, Leo felt a sense of purpose stronger than ever. Tomorrow, he would venture closer, not recklessly, but with care. He would continue to study the tribe, learning their ways and proving that humans could survive through intelligence and respect, not just weapons and fear. The forest seemed to whisper around him, alive with the presence of beings that were more than just predators. They were Zorath's true guardians, and Leo was beginning to understand them, step by careful step. And in the quiet of the alien night, Leo knew that this was only the beginning of a journey that could change how humans saw the universe and how they saw themselves. The next morning, Leo woke to the soft hum of Zorath's forest. Sunlight spilled through the dense canopy, casting flickering shadows on the forest floor. Today, he felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. The events of the previous day had shown him that the ravenous alien female's tribe was not the mindless predator humans had feared, but intelligent and watchful. Yet, he also knew that curiosity alone was not enough. He would need courage. He packed his small gear, double-checking his sensors, cameras, and portable tools. Today's plan was simple: stay in one clearing, observe, and remain visible but non-threatening should the tribe approach. Leo reminded himself that every action mattered, one wrong gesture could ruin the fragile trust he had begun to build. As he walked to the clearing, Leo noticed signs of recent activity: trampled grass, broken branches, and faint footprints. The tribe had been nearby, and he felt their presence like a silent weight in the air. He stopped for a moment, crouching behind a large rock to watch. Then, movement. The older female he had seen twice before appeared first. She moved gracefully, stepping over roots and fallen branches. Behind her, several others emerged, silent and alert. Leo held his breath, lowering himself slowly to show he had no weapons raised. His heart pounded, but he did not move aggressively. The tribe circled him cautiously, studying him with sharp eyes. Leo stayed calm, knowing that fear could provoke aggression. Slowly, he placed a small pack of rations on the ground, not as food for them, but as a gesture of goodwill. The older female approached carefully, sniffing the air, and then stepped back. The others mirrored her movements, forming a cautious perimeter. Leo realized he was being tested. His courage, patience, and intentions were being observed. Any sign of fear, aggression, or dishonesty could have ended the encounter badly. Instead, he stayed calm, speaking softly to himself and making slow, deliberate gestures. "I mean no harm," he whispered. "I only want to learn." After what felt like an eternity, the older female gave a small, almost imperceptible nod. One of the younger females, perhaps the one Leo had helped the day before, stepped closer and sniffed the ground near him. Leo remained perfectly still, allowing the tribe to approach on their own terms. Slowly, the tension in the air eased. Leo realized that this was a turning point. The tribe had tested his courage, and he had passed. They were not violent simply because he existed, they were cautious, intelligent, and capable of understanding intention. This understanding was rare among humans, who had only known fear and rumor. Over the next few hours, Leo observed the tribe's hunting and social behavior from within the clearing. They communicated silently with subtle gestures, shared food, and moved with a precision that was remarkable. He noticed how they protected each other, how the older females taught the younger ones, and how every action seemed purposeful. Fear and aggression were tools only when necessary, otherwise, they operated with care and intelligence. Leo took careful notes, capturing every movement with his camera and sensors. He understood that humans had underestimated them because of their appearance and hunting skill. But intelligence, strategy, and empathy defined the tribe, not the stories of terror. As the sun began to set, Leo prepared to leave the clearing. He did not want to overstay his welcome. The tribe watched him quietly, seemingly aware of his intention. He bowed slightly, a gesture of respect, and stepped back. Slowly, they returned to the forest, moving like shadows among the trees. Walking back to his camp, Leo felt a sense of accomplishment. Today had been more than observation, it had been interaction on a level few humans could achieve. The tribe had tested him, and he had responded with patience, courage, and understanding. Trust, he realized, was not given, it was earned. By nightfall, Leo was sitting by his small fire, reviewing the day's recordings. He saw moments of teaching, cooperation, and silent communication among the tribe members. Every frame reinforced the truth he had felt all day: the tribe was intelligent, capable, and deserving of respect. Fear alone had painted them as monsters, but Leo now knew the truth. Looking up at the stars through the canopy, Leo felt a quiet determination. Tomorrow, he would venture even closer, taking more risks to understand the tribe's behavior and perhaps, one day, communicate with them more directly. But he also knew that patience was essential. Trust could be broken in a single misstep. For the first time, Leo felt a deep connection to Zorth and its inhabitants. The planet was alive not only with plants and creatures, but with intelligence, strategy, and community. The tribe was not a threat to be destroyed, they were a species to learn from. And Leo, the human who dared to face them, was beginning to understand the true meaning of courage: not fighting without fear, but acting wisely despite it. As he closed his eyes that night, Leo felt a quiet satisfaction. The test of courage had been passed. He had shown the tribe that humans could be more than intruders, they could be observers, learners, and allies. And in the darkness of Zorth's forest, the tribe moved silently, perhaps acknowledging this human in their own mysterious way. Tomorrow, Leo would take the next step. And for the first time, he felt ready for whatever challenges the ravenous alien female's tribe might present. The following morning, Leo packed his gear carefully, feeling a mix of excitement and respect. Over the past days, he had seen the ravenous alien female's tribe from a distance and even helped a young member in need. Now, he wanted to go further. He wanted to learn not just about their hunting, but their way of life, how they survived, communicated, and thrived on a planet so harsh and unforgiving. He moved quietly through the forest, paying attention to every sound. The wind whispered through the trees, and small creatures scurried at his approach. After hours of careful tracking, he saw them again, the tribe in a clearing, practicing movements that seemed almost like training. The older females guided the younger ones, showing them how to move swiftly and silently through the forest. Leo crouched behind a large rock and watched. Every movement was purposeful. They leaped over roots and fallen logs with balance that seemed impossible, crouched to hide in plain sight, and communicated with subtle gestures that only they could fully understand. Leo noted every detail, fascinated by their intelligence and precision. Humans had weapons, technology, and strategy, but the tribe had something different: instinct combined with sharp reasoning and teamwork. After observing for some time, Leo decided to move slightly closer, remaining visible but careful not to startle them. The older female, the same one who had studied him before, noticed him immediately. She paused and stared, her posture alert but not aggressive. Leo froze in place, showing no threat, and spoke softly, "I only wish to learn. I will not interfere." For a long moment, she watched him, her gaze intense. Then, slowly, she signaled with a hand movement. A younger female approached cautiously. She sniffed the ground near Leo, studied him, and then darted back to the older female. Leo realized this was their way of deciding whether to allow him closer. Patience, he understood, was as important as courage. Over the next several hours, Leo observed their daily routines. He saw how they hunted, but also how they cared for each other. The older females guided the young in tracking prey, sharing knowledge, and avoiding dangers. They communicated through subtle sounds and gestures, forming a language that Leo could only partially decipher. He marveled at how much they relied on observation, intuition, and teamwork rather than brute strength alone. At one point, a small accident occurred. A young female slipped while climbing a tree and nearly fell. The older female caught her effortlessly, steadying her with gentle but firm hands. Leo realized that the tribe's strength was not only in speed or agility, it was in their care for one another. Their bonds were strong, their cooperation unmatched. Humans had much to learn from such instinctive understanding of community. Leo recorded every detail he could: how they moved, how they communicated, and how they reacted to unexpected events. He even began to mimic some of their movements at a safe distance, hoping that the tribe would recognize his attempts at understanding. Occasionally, they paused to watch him, their expressions unreadable but attentive. By late afternoon, Leo had collected enough data to fill several days of notes. He sat quietly, observing a moment of rest among the tribe. They shared food, groomed each other, and communicated in soft, subtle ways. It was a side of them that few humans had ever seen, a side of cooperation, intelligence, and empathy. As Leo made his way back to camp, he reflected on what he had witnessed. The tribe was not the mindless predators of human stories. They were highly organized, intelligent, and capable of emotion. They taught each other, cared for one another, and survived in a world that demanded both skill and cunning. Fear had painted them as monsters, but the truth was far more remarkable. Back at his small camp, Leo uploaded his data and reviewed it carefully. Every recording reinforced the same conclusion: humans had much to learn from the ravenous alien females tribe. Strategy, communication, teamwork, and empathy were their strengths, and humans had underestimated the value of these traits in survival. Sitting by his fire that night, Leo felt a quiet pride. He had not only survived in Zoratha's wild forests, but he had also begun to understand a species that others feared. Through observation, patience, and respect, he had unlocked glimpses of a world that many humans would never see. As he drifted to sleep under Zoratha's alien sky, Leo felt a sense of connection with the tribe. They were teaching him without words, showing him the importance of intelligence, courage, and understanding. And he knew that tomorrow would bring new lessons, new challenges, and perhaps, the chance to communicate more directly. Leo's journey was becoming more than an exploration. It was a bridge between humans and the ravenous alien females tribe, a story of learning, respect, and the quiet power of patience and observation. and in the darkness of the forest, he felt that the tribe was beginning to recognize him not as a threat, but as a careful and respectful observer. Tomorrow, he would venture even closer, ready to learn more and prove that humans could survive, understand, and grow in ways beyond fear. The following morning, Leo rose before the sun, feeling a mixture of anticipation and unease. For days, he had observed the ravenous alien females' tribe, learned their ways, and begun to earn their cautious trust. Yet he knew Zorth was not only home to the tribe, it was a world that drew other humans with curiosity, greed, or fear. And today, that risk became real. From a high ridge, Leo spotted movement in the distance, a group of humans arriving in small exploration ships. They were armed and cautious, their movements hurried as they scanned the valley. Rumors of the tribe had clearly reached them, and their mission seemed clear: they planned to capture or destroy the aliens, treating fear as justification. Leo's heart sank. If they discovered the tribe first, the fragile trust he had built could be lost forever. He knew he had to act quickly. Using a small communicator, he sent a brief signal to the approaching humans, trying to alert them without revealing the tribe's exact location. Stop. Zorth is dangerous. The tribe is intelligent. Do not provoke them, he said, repeating the warning until the human team paused. A few members hesitated, skeptical, but Leo's calm tone carried authority. Still, the humans advanced cautiously, scanning the forest. Leo realized that reason alone might not be enough. He needed to show both sides, the tribe and the humans, that aggression could lead to disaster, and that understanding was a safer path. Moving swiftly and quietly, Leo returned to the clearing where he had spent the past days observing the tribe. The aliens were nearby, alert, and watchful. They noticed his approach and read his intention immediately. Leo gestured calmly, showing that he carried no threat. Slowly, the older female stepped forward, signaling the younger members to stay close. He spoke softly to the tribe, using the gentle tone he had practiced for days. They are humans like me, he said. But they do not understand. I will help you, but you must stay calm. Trust me. The tribe seemed to sense his sincerity. Their eyes, sharp and intelligent, followed his every movement, ready to react if necessary, but restrained by their understanding of his actions. Leo then turned to face the approaching humans. He raised his hands in a gesture of peace. Stop. You cannot attack them, he called out. They are intelligent. They will defend themselves if needed, but they are not mindless predators. Aggression will only bring disaster. A tense silence followed. The human explorers hesitated, unsure whether to trust Leo's warnings. They had come with fear and weapons, expecting monsters. Now, confronted with a human standing calmly between them and the tribe, they were forced to reconsider. Leo carefully guided the humans to a safer vantage point, explaining what he had learned, the tribe's intelligence, their organization, and their cooperative nature. He described the young female he had helped, the careful hunting practices, and the subtle communication methods. Slowly, the humans began to understand that what they feared was not a threat, but a species surviving in a harsh world. Meanwhile, the tribe remained in the clearing, observing from the shadows. They watched Leo's actions, gauging whether he could be trusted. When he spoke calmly and ensured the humans posed no immediate threat, the older female finally stepped fully into view, signaling the younger members to relax. Leo realized that the tribe had chosen to trust him, even when faced with potential danger. Hours passed as Leo mediated between the two sides. He taught the humans that Zorth's dangers were real, but misunderstanding could be far more harmful than any predator. Slowly, the human team lowered their weapons, observing the tribe without hostility. They saw the careful cooperation, the teaching moments, and the intelligence that Leo had described. By sunset, the humans retreated from the forest, leaving the tribe undisturbed. Leo watched them go, relieved that no one had been hurt. The tribe remained in the clearing, their eyes still sharp, but now calm. Leo approached carefully, giving them space. The older female studied him for a moment, then inclined her head slightly, a gesture he had come to recognize as acknowledgement of respect and trust. Leo realized something profound: humans had much to learn from the tribe, but so did he. Respect, understanding, and courage were not one-sided, they required effort from both species. Today had proven that intelligence and patience could prevent conflict, even when fear and aggression seemed inevitable. As night fell, Leo sat by his small fire, exhausted but satisfied. The tribe moved silently through the forest nearby, aware of him but undisturbed. And far above, the stars of Zorth shone clearly, as if watching over a planet where humans and aliens could learn to coexist. Leo knew that the real challenge was only beginning. Trust had been earned, but it was fragile. Tomorrow, he would continue learning from the tribe, strengthening that connection, and preparing for the possibility of future threats. For now, he allowed himself a quiet sense of accomplishment. He had protected the tribe, bridged understanding between species, and proved that humans could survive through intelligence, courage, and respect. In the alien night, Leo felt a quiet hope. Zorth was no longer just a dangerous world, it was a place of learning, growth, and possibility. And the ravenous alien females tribe, once feared across the galaxy, now stood as a testament to the power of understanding over fear. The morning on Zorth was calm, almost peaceful, as if the planet itself knew that the tense events of the previous days had passed. Leo woke to the sounds of the forest's soft rustling leaves, distant calls of alien creatures, and the quiet steps of the ravenous alien females tribe nearby. Today, he felt a mixture of anticipation and pride. He had survived encounters, learned their ways, and even protected the tribe from human aggression. Now, he hoped to solidify the trust that had begun to form. He packed his gear and moved carefully through the forest. The tribe was already active, hunting and training with precision, their movements fluid and coordinated. Leo paused at a distance, observing quietly. The older female, the same one who had tested his courage and studied his intentions, glanced in his direction. Their eyes met, and he felt a small but undeniable recognition, a sense that his presence was now accepted. Leo approached slowly, hands visible and empty. He spoke softly, as he had learned over the past days, "I come in respect, not fear. I only wish to learn." The tribe remained cautious but allowed him closer, watching silently as he joined the clearing. The younger females moved around, curious but calm, clearly reassured by the older female's guidance. Over the next few hours, Leo participated in their daily routines, not as an intruder, but as a respectful observer. He mimicked their movements, learning how they moved silently through the forest, how they tracked prey, and how they communicated without words. Each time he copied a gesture correctly, the older female inclined her head slightly, a subtle acknowledgement that he was learning. Leo also shared small pieces of human knowledge, careful not to overwhelm or frighten them. He demonstrated simple ways to detect danger, showing the tribe tools that could help them survive even more efficiently. The aliens watched with curiosity, studying his hands, his gestures, and his calm demeanor. There was no fear, no aggression, only mutual observation and understanding. As the day progressed, a distant sound reached them, the faint hum of a departing human exploration ship. Leo knew that the previous human threat had been avoided, but this reminded him that Zorth was still a world where danger could appear at any moment. The tribe's eyes flicked toward the sound, alert but not panicked. Leo smiled quietly. They trusted him, and he had taught them, in his way, that humans could be allies rather than threats. By late afternoon, Leo and the tribe rested near a stream. He watched as the older female tended to the younger ones, grooming them and teaching them small lessons about movement and awareness. The younger females responded quickly, learning with an eagerness that reminded Leo of human children. The scene filled him with awe. Here was a species feared by many, yet capable of intelligence, empathy, and care that humans could only admire. Leo realized that he had become more than a visitor. Through courage, patience, and respect, he had bridged a gap between species. The tribe had accepted him not because he was strong or armed, but because he had proven that humans could act with intelligence, empathy, and understanding. In turn, he had learned lessons that no human could teach in a classroom: trust, observation, and the quiet power of patience. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the forest, Leo gathered his notes and reviewed the day's recordings. Each moment with the tribe had reinforced what he had known in his heart: fear and misunderstanding were powerful, but respect and courage were stronger. Humans could survive and thrive not through weapons alone, but through intelligence and empathy. The tribe, now comfortable with his presence, moved freely around him. The older female approached and, with a graceful gesture, touched the ground near Leo, a sign he had come to understand as trust and acknowledgement. Leo lowered himself slightly, returning the gesture. It was a silent agreement, a moment of connection that bridged two very different worlds. That night, Leo sat by his small fire, looking up at Zoratha's twin moons. The forest was alive with the tribe's presence, moving silently among the trees, alert but calm. Leo felt a deep sense of accomplishment. He had not only survived in this alien world, but he had earned respect from both species: humans who had begun to understand, and aliens who had once feared him. He knew that his time on Zorath was limited, but the bond he had formed would endure. The tribe had accepted him as a careful observer and, perhaps in their own way, as a friend. Humans would return, and when they did, Leo would share what he had learned: that courage, intelligence, and respect could change the outcome of any encounter. As he closed his eyes beneath the alien sky, Leo felt a quiet hope for the future. Zorath was no longer just a dangerous planet, it was a place of understanding, learning, and alliance. The ravenous alien females tribe, once feared across the galaxy, now stood as a testament to the power of intelligence, cooperation, and respect. Leo smiled. For the first time, he realized that humans could face the unknown not with fear, but with courage and understanding. And in the quiet of Zoratha's forest, he knew that both humans and aliens had gained something far more valuable than survival: mutual respect, trust, and the promise of a future where fear no longer ruled the unknown.